Hi friends, I'm Liz.
I'm Robby. Welcome back to our channel Bookworm Couple. Today we are going to be talking about the fourth and most recent, I suppose,
they're going to say
book
final.
not final, book in A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Silver Flames or Silver Flame. I'm not sure if it's plural or singular.
Artron Sisters patch.
Oh, is that what that is?
From Spark and
Oh,
Edge.
I understand it now.
Yeah, right? Cutie
Yeah.
cutie.
That's
Flamey
adorable.
girl. Yeah, it's talking about Nesta. This is from Spark and Edge. Her shop. It's great.
Yeah.
Period.
Great.
I have a discount code. It's Liz.
Okay.
Now we're done.
Now we're done. That was
I was trying to remember it. I was like,
start.
it's Liz? Great.
Strong start. I liked this book. I wasn't really sure what to expect.
He says kind of.
There were parts of it that I think. Well, no, there were parts of it that I really liked, and there were parts of it that I think were pointless.
Sure.
But
a classic. Robby.
Overall, I liked it. I understand why people would pretty strongly dislike it, but for me, I mean, I think just one aspect of it, the vibes, potentially the best in the whole series.
The vibes.
The vibes. Are you kidding?
Best vibes. What do you mean vibes?
Like best cozy fantasy vibes, which is really, I've now fully come to realize
That's
why I'm actually here.
That's all you want.
That's what I actually like.
So if you have any
this
suggestions
series.
for cozy fantasies, send
well, it's
them
not even
our
this
way.
that. It's just, I just think that I like this world. I like Valaris.
Yeah.
And I like the amount of time spent reading in libraries.
I know. We really get a lot of that this time. We get a cutie sleepover.
Yeah,
it's all great.
Yeah, no, the cozy fantasy vibes in this are, I do think, maybe the best in the whole series. So, like, there are certain aspects.
Yeah, you spend a lot of time there, too.
That's
so
what I'm saying.
That's, yeah.
Yeah, this is a much more character focused as opposed to plot focused, which is like, it's almost the exact opposite of the last full-length book, which I'm forgetting the name of. Wings and Ruin. Yeah, this is almost the opposite of that. This is much more character focused than it is plot focused. I would say that the plot itself almost didn't need to be there, but the character work I thought was good. I mean, that was the focus of this book, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the journey that we went on with this character, and we'll go deeper into that in the spoiler talk. But what are your thoughts?
I love this book.
Is it your favorite?
No.
Okay.
But I love this book.
Okay. All
Period, right. I guess. I loved it when I first read it. I loved it in reread. I have defended it many times. Well, I've defended Nesta many times. This book for me is always a beautiful journey, and the times that I've read it have been exactly when I needed it. So sure. I think that's very much Sarah J. Maas as well wrote the book that she needed during her mental health journey, and I think that's what I love about this book so much. I think it's fun. I think it's adventurous. I love the characters.
Great new characters.
I love the vibes are great. I love getting in Nesta's head. I love spending this much time with a character that we haven't spent with before. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this book.
Well, I think that's a good enough place to say spoiler warning going forward. Don't want to say too much more. If you have not read A Court of Silver Flames, maybe?
Yeah, Flames.
Flames. If you haven't read A Court of Silver Flames, multiple flames, there's lots of them. They're all over the place.
Silver Flames.
And they're silver. Pause, go read it, come back. We'll be here. You can listen to our thoughts about it later. But I think that's enough of a warning. So spoilers going forward. Yeah, I mean, I understand why people don't like this book. If you don't like Nesta, you're going to have a bad time. And I think it's really important to note that this book, I mean, immediately someone becoming a POV character, usually, especially if there's someone who extremely antagonistic in previous novels or in previous parts of the same book, however it happens, usually makes them more endears them more to the audience because we get a reason for it. I think if you go into this book thinking like, okay, this is going to like redeem all of Nesta's bad actions, that's not the case. I don't think they necessarily need to be redeemed. I think Nesta is a kind of antagonistic person, and she's also in a lot of pain. And that's a lot of what this book is about, her journey through depression and pain. But I don't think this book is trying to redeem her, or at least that's not what I got. Maybe the author was, I'm not sure. And I don't know that she needs to be. There are people who are antagonistic and kind of mean in real life.
Yeah.
And they have friends and they have loved ones, and that's great. And that's fine. And I think Nesta's just one of those people. She doesn't need to be...
Sure. And I find that more, like, healing. And because there is a reality in that. And I think there's so much of her journey that reading through, I'm like, you got, like, it's in your face, like the hardest self-reflection. And I think that is why I like this journey so much, because you don't take away the dirt. Like you get in there and you face it. You get to the depths and you see the worst of the worst. And I think that is so refreshing is not really the right word, but it is, as someone who has, dealt with some intense mental days and downs and ups and downs and journeys throughout all of life, because that's part of life. I personally think of feeling the highs and lows. Reading something like this, reminding myself I'm not alone, reminding myself that hard feelings are okay, rage is okay, frustration is okay, acting out, while not the best thing, like, sometimes happens, and to have like forgiveness and for that, and to be able to watch a character grow from the deepest depths is so rewarding.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I think that I don't like Nesta. But I don't know that you're necessarily supposed to like her.
No,
I like her journey
and
in this book.
I think like is probably the wrong word that I'm using.
Yeah, I mean, I think this book is a journey of someone who's, vastly depressed and traumatized and in a lot of pain, moving through their mental health journey to a better place. That doesn't mean that when they're in a better mental place, that they're likable.
No,
but it means that they are, a better version of themselves.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't really like Nesta particularly as a character, but her POV is good. I think, and I love her journey in this book. It's great. I don't need to like someone to love their journey.
Yeah,
and especially because we get her thoughts on all of it. It makes her being so callous to those who are trying to be kind to her easier to understand.
Yeah, you're so much better explaining things than me.
That's not true at all.
Yeah. I don't know how to make the words right. That was so beautiful. Erase everything I said. That's
not true. Everything you said is great too.
No, but it's not.
That's the point.
I have a hard time getting to the point.
Well, that's fine. We all get to the point in our own way.
Well, I have a hard time understanding how to word my point.
Yeah.
Most of the time. My head is kind of swirls and pictures. So
Great.
to make that into words is very hard.
Awesome. Yeah, I bet it is. My head is less swirls.
Yours is,
for sure.
You've got a lot of words. You've got very good words. You're very artistic with your words.
I think I've got more words than I have swirls or pictures.
Yeah, no, I could probably give you an interpretive dance that you'd understand better than a lot of my
words.
Great.
I mean, we can make that a monthly video too. Anyway, I totally forgot what I was saying.
Journey.
Anyway, Nesta.
Powerful.
Yeah, another reason I'm sure that some people probably don't like this book, and this is all just my own thought and just conjecture. Yeah. I don't actually know.
Yeah, I haven't
talked to people who don't like this book. If you have reasons that you really dislike it, please throw them down in the comments down below. But I'd love to just hear.
Intense invitation.
Well, I want to know.
Okay.
And I'm not saying you don't need to insult everyone. Just seriously, why? I have ideas for why I think people don't like it. I think one of them is people don't like Nesta. That's pretty obvious.
Sure.
One.
And I don't think people like her behavior, and I don't think people can get past that.
Yeah, sure. And I think another one is the book is extremely repetitive when it comes to Nesta's POV, and I don't mean just like similar situations and her reactions to them. I mean there's literally like the same words in the same order in similar situations. To me, that kind of worked because as someone who's dealt with depression before, that's my flavor. Very repetitive.
Sure.
I can't speak for everyone, but like I was like, oh yeah, I understand
it's
this.
Like
I relate to that. Exactly.
Forward. Yeah.
And it's like you think the same thing over and over and over again.
Right.
And so I understood that, and that felt realistic to me. Not necessarily fun to read.
Sure.
Because it is the same thing, but I was like, okay, I understand what you're doing, and to me it reads as someone who's like, this is what my experience with it was, so now I'm gonna make my character go through it. And yeah, I thought that worked. And I'm assuming the other reason that people don't like this is because the sex is notably more aggressive. And I think that's probably something that people is that the line I saw that one. I think I've heard that before.
Yeah, you did.
I think that there are. I'm assuming that there are people who this crosses a line that some of them might not enjoy. Especially, I imagine the I don't know what I can say on YouTube. One day I'll have to look it up.
You could say threesome.
No, not that. I mean that we've joked about that before. I mean, I guess saying that we know Nesta has had a threesome. I don't understand why that. I mean, that's no different from saying like you should have a threesome.
No, what are you trying to say? Sorry,
I was going to talk about the regular. It's hard to say this without using certain words, so I'm really. You said I'm good with words, and I'm trying.
You are. Go.
The focus on the possession aspect of being covered in male seed. That is a focus in this book that I noticed that I was like, I bet you people feel uncomfortable about
Interesting.
that.
I read so many sexy books that that's
well, I
such
don't.
a,
It's not.
like,
I
such a
actually.
thing.
These were some of my favorite sex scenes.
Yeah,
in the
no, I
series,
told you, I think they're
but
great.
I will also
They're
say,
some of mine,
partially
too.
because they are more aggressive and because of the nature of the adult film industry in the world, and the fact that it's so focused on the male gaze and therefore is very aggressive. This book interestingly felt like sex from a more male gaze point of view, being written by a female author. Or maybe it was Sarah J. Maas trying to reclaim more aggressive sex for, I don't know. But I did think that was kind of interesting.
I think there's multiple things. I think there are women who do desire that. And I do
for sure.
also think that because that's what's marketed to us, I do think there is a lot in that is like, this is sex, this is pleasure, this is enticing, this does feel sexy. And I also think personally there's a reclamation and a freedom in that kind of in voicing that kind of a desire, because it may be unexpected, or it may be, I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say, but I think allowing yourself to go also to the depths and darkness with a partner, I think is a very freeing thing with sexuality.
I mean, there's also, notes of degradation kink. There's things here that I'm just like, oh, this feels like a step farther than I bet you a lot of the casuals reading this may be interested in, and that's fine. Everyone has their own tastes. I personally thought these were the hottest sex scenes.
Yeah, they're great.
But I'm also a dude, so like.
Well, I also think, like, for me too, reading the books in order, and I read them, they'd all come out by the time that I read them all. So it was a fun journey of like, here, a little bit of that, okay, we're ready now. Let's get in there.
Yeah,
Nesta reading her dirty smut.
And I'm very interested to see in future books if Elaine gets a book, which I'm assuming she's gonna, or maybe more, if hers is like very chaste, which would be.
Or what if it's the polar opposite?
But we already got that. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess we could go further.
You good?
But like, I just think it would be very funny. Anyway, I don't know. I will also say nothing that they did is really any different from stuff we've read in the series, but the way it was written and the way that the characters thought about it was, which I think is something that's very interesting to think about for anyone who is like, no, I hate these sex scenes, they offend me, or they're just too much, or whatever. Nothing that happens in them is different from literally anything it's literally just the way that the characters themselves are thinking about the acts that they're doing. And that, I have nothing to say about that. I just think it's an interesting thought.
That's actually a really good point. I wouldn't have thought about that.
I'm just like, I don't have a point. I'm just like, that's kind of fascinating. That we can, just by the way someone is thinking about it, it can affect how we ourselves feel about it. Yeah. Or how it's written about, even if it's the exact same thing. Power of words. Anyway, we've been jumping around. Those are all the things that I think I understand why people wouldn't like it.
Sure.
None of those are things that I didn't like about the book. I don't like Nesta, but that didn't ruin my enjoyment of the book. I did like her journey, even though parts of it were repetitive. I did like the sex scenes. What I didn't like was the actual, like, outside of Nesta larger plot. With Brialyn? I don't know. She's nothing. I don't care. She's entirely pointless. It's Amarantha 2.0.
It is, yeah.
And Sarah J. Maas has the same... I've said it before, I think. Sarah J. Maas has the same problem as Marvel. She cannot write a villain to save her life.
You gotta kill him.
It's rough. At this point, we're 4 books into this series, and she has not had a villain worth the name in it yet. King of Hybern barely counts. At least, like, with Throne of Glass, by the end, I was like, okay, I'm on board with, like, what's happening here.
Yeah, we have a one big through line.
She can't seem to... And I think part of it is because of the way, I guess she's probably splitting it up into, like, there's the first part, now here's the second, but each one, like, the sisters themselves have to grow, and one of the things that I loved about this book is the smaller focus for a lot of it, because I think that worked very well for Nesta's journey. Yeah. But that also means that necessarily, because we spent so much time on Nesta's journey, there's not a lot of space for plot, and so it felt kind of pointless. It was a fetch quest for the Dead Trove, and then we're really introducing Koshé.
But don't you think that's a part of Nesta's journey?
I didn't think so. I didn't think it was a necessary part at all. I think all of the things that happened could, because also, again, and it's now starting to actually become a problem, like less of a joke and more of a, like, I'm getting a little angry about it. Stop killing characters and then bringing them back to life. Yeah. Just stop doing it. It's because it literally, I just can't.
You also said Marvel.
Exactly. That too. You're right. You're not wrong. Same. Like, I'll call it out. But it's like, we knew Cassian wasn't going to die in this book. It's just a waste of time. And
I understand what you're saying. I'm also curious, though, of like specifically this book with Nesta's very intense journey. Wouldn't you want some outside thing to kind of, first of all, take you out of it for a minute, and then also have this backbone of desire, like a reason to work, rather like.
Well, I think it. To me, I want to make it clear. To me, the Illyrian plot line, all of that.
Oh,
that's
sure.
Still,
I see.
That's still part
okay,
of. So, like, to
okay.
me, everything with the Illyrian plotline, I liked that a lot.
I
think that
understand.
totally still could have happened. I'm literally specifically talking about Braylon, a little bit about the Dead Trove too. If the Dead Trove still existed,
Dread Trove?
Dread Trove. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
If the Dread Trove still existed at the end of this book, I might have liked it more. But since it's kind of just like gone, or I don't know, and she's like lost her powers. I'm kind of just like, I don't really care. Like, I wish that they. I don't know. Anyway, I think that like the entire Illyrian plot could have happened exactly as it did, and we could have gotten the same thing if you just cut Braylon out and she didn't have to influence she didn't have to influence the blood right. I really didn't like that part. I was just like, I don't think that changes anything. But I did love the blood right. Yeah. The first time Emery and Gwen fought together and killed those guys was very cool.
It's awesome. Talk about Marvel. Really in my head, it was like, squall, like such a good scene.
Yeah. We are jumping around.
That's okay.
Yes, so that was my biggest issue with this book. The plot. The
plot.
Yeah, the plot that wasn't Nesta's journey.
The additional
And it feels weird saying like Nesta is the plot, but she kind of is. Yeah. The main plot is her journey through her mental health, really, and all of the stuff, and like them doing some foreshadowing with like Reese is gonna be the High King or whatever, and he's like, I don't want it. Yeah, I'm like, I don't care about this. I don't care. And this is kind of bad to say. I didn't really even care about like the kid, because I'm like, gonna say that we know they're not gonna die. Like, it's not. There's no stakes. It's just it.
But it was also. Yeah, okay.
I barely cared about it. Also, because it was written because the way that plotline was introduced was essentially like, the baby has wings. And I'm just like, okay. And then they explain why that's a bad thing. And then there's a few sentences, maybe 2 or 3, where it's just like, how did this happen in the first place? And it explains it. And it also, it's like some weird random magic crap. And then it also explains, here's other weird random magic crap that means that we can't change it back. And I'm just like, okay, that's what this entire plot line is hinged on, and we know how it's going to end anyway. So, okay, great. But I did like the way it was used for Nesta's like relapse kind of in the I don't know, I don't remember what part of the book it was, probably about 2/3, 3/4 of the way through the book, where she did tell Feyre.
Yeah.
I will also say...
She sassed her so hard.
Sass is a nice word for it, yeah. But I liked that part because things had been going well, and it was a relapse, which is very...
Once again, a more realistic journey.
More realistic journey. Though I will say, it's very funny.
Hard.
Early on in the book, Nesta says, I don't want to hear about Feyre's special journey. And I was just like, yeah, that's fair. But we talked in the last video, you helped me realize that part of the reason I didn't like Nesta is because Nesta hadn't moved in 3.5 books, because she's the only one who's kind of going through things at like a normal real life pace, and everyone else is not.
Yeah.
Now that this book is Nesta's special journey, which I thought was very ironic, and now Nesta starts moving. Now, I will say there are time skips a little bit more than in the other ones, which I actually did appreciate. So I think this book takes place over like a year, as opposed to, and again... They keep talking about how old Feyre is. I will pay Sarah J. Maas money to stop mentioning it. I'm just like, I don't need to know about 500-year-old Rhysand's 21-year-old baby mama. Please stop.
Okay.
I did think that was kind of ironic, because I was like, well, Nesta, now that you have your own book, you're going to go on your special journey, and your recovery is going to really speed up, I just bet.
Yeah.
And it did. But I forgot what we were talking about.
But it wasn't as like... fairy tale as many, like you said, the repetitiveness, even just the imagery of the stairs and her using the stairs again and again and again and again, and it can be, yes, I'm sure, very repetitive, but again, having the reality of those incremental steps forward.
Yeah,
if you just like feel it, like going on that journey, the imagery is so important. And while yes, this is over a period of one book, over the period of a year-ish, I think, it's definitely not a like 3 months we had a battle and now you're facing all your trauma and you're good.
Yes, exactly. No, and you're totally right. I do think the only thing that would have made this book more realistic is it taking place over a longer period of time, and also there being more instances of Nesta just like being like, oh, I feel better and I think I could be moving forward, but then not actually doing anything and relapsing, which is not interesting to read.
No, right.
So
this is a good version of
exactly.
that without
and
there's
and the stairs are a great visual, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah.
Literary representation
Metaphor.
of the journey. Going down and then back up.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I do want to talk about some of the side characters. You know, Azriel and Elaine, obviously there's something going on there. I hope that whenever we get their book, there's lots of very shadowy
Sexy
sex.
shadow sex. Yeah.
I feel so bad for Lucian. I also feel bad for Elaine, that her being in that situation with him, that it's bad for it's bad for everyone.
Yeah.
And I just want Lucian to be happy. And if they try and replace Lucian with Eros, is that his name? Eris,
His
whatever.
brother.
I am not on board.
We're not gonna replace
Eris
Lucian.
sucks, and Lucian is the best. And I don't care about Eris. I just want to know that Lucian's happy. And I also think it's very funny that early in the book they talk about the Band of Exiles, which is what Lucian, Jurian, and Vincent, I never remember her name, call each other. I'm sure she's going to become much more important in like the next book. But and Cassian's like, oh god. I'm like, that's a lot from someone who is, it's something called the Court of Dreams.
Really, don't be
I'm
a
like,
brat.
okay, man. Like,
your club's
get
cool,
over
but theirs
yourself.
is not.
Yeah, I thought that was very stupid. But I hated Rhys in this book. I went back to hating him again.
First of all, you hate Rhys.
I don't hate Rhys always. I think that he was used really poorly in the first book.
Sure.
In really problematic ways. But in this one, they used the pregnancy to be like over the top protectiveness to like a not healthy point. And I'm sure that that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
But it's also just like, I don't know, because Rhysand is always like the golden boy, everything about him, even when it's something that's super not great, is delivered in such a manner that it seems like we're kind of supposed to like it or find it endearing. And I was just like, this is a lot. Yeah. And also he's being so overprotective of his mate while also not giving her information and taking away her agency and choice.
Yeah, it sucks.
And I just thought it was all really bad.
Yeah.
And didn't need to be that way.
Sure.
At all. Yeah. So I really didn't like that.
Okay.
But that's really the only thing that like I was like, okay, I really wish this had. Oh, and I also didn't love the beginning when, and Sarah Moss does this every single time when it's some new character or someone's book, but it's like Nesta was super skinny, you could see her ribs, but also her tits are huge, so she's still hot, don't worry. And I was like, that's kind of gross. And
I think that's just how it is.
That's just, yeah.
I've never read a book where there's romance where that's not a part of it. The description of everyone being so traditionally hot.
No, that's totally fine. It was the combination of like she's anorexic, but also her tits are still huge. I was just like, this is all really not great. But Cassian is apparently hung like a horse, so good for him.
Of course he is.
I did really love their first scene where she like rubbed him through his jeans. I was like, wow, how high school.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the point.
I thought that was really funny.
Like,
and then she gave him a dig for going so fast. Oh man, that was great. That really got me. I liked that a lot.
Super masculine boy.
Yeah, that was so funny. Also him being like, wait, I came and she didn't? That's never happened in my like 700 years of life. I was like, okay, dude, sure.
Come on, babe, we're writing men for women, okay?
Sure, man.
This is what we want to hear.
I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, let's talk about important stuff.
Important stuff. What other important stuff?
Cassian, training, Emery and Gwyn, the library.
I loved Emery and Gwyn. I knew Emery was going to come back when we met her in the last book. I'm super glad she did. I didn't realize she was going to be such a big character so quickly. Love her. I love Gwyn as well. I love... I love the library and Nesta's journey within it and her finding motivation and just movement in her own life and drive in helping these other women. Really great. Incredible female friendships. Again, the vibes, immaculate.
Yeah, and so much like empowering and what a beautiful, juxtaposition of Nesta's really tough mental journey, but then also encouraging these other women to take their power into their own hands. And I think it's just a beautiful image.
Yep. Yep, I loved all of it. I loved all the training montages.
Yeah, they're great.
They're great.
They're really great.
All the stuff with the Valkyries was great. The ribbon is really good. I thought it was very the Valkyries.
And them like meditating, like all of
I thought it was really funny. The Valkyries and the Dread Trove were introduced around the same time. So my notes, I have a little thing written because Sarah J. Maas does this thing that I always think is really funny. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something I notice in that she, and I think I talked about this in some of the Throne of Glass videos. She will do world building to satisfy the story instead of like, there's just this story is happening in this world.
Yeah,
and so she'll introduce things that you know are going to get used right away, and then do a bunch of like backbends to be like, this is why they weren't here before.
Sure, yeah.
And the Dread Trove, it was like, well, they erased everyone from everyone's minds. And the Valkyries was, well, it was an oral history. And that happened like within a chapter of each other. And I was just like, this just makes me laugh.
Yeah.
Because like, I honestly would notice it less if you didn't do that part.
Sure.
If you were just like, the Valkyries are here now. And I'm like, cool, great, love them. Emery and Gwyn were standouts for me. They were two of my favorite parts of the book. Both of their individual journeys and their relationship with Nesta was just really great. And it's the first time in the series, since book 1, really, that we've gotten multiple new major supporting characters. And they're both just so awesome. And seeing that female relationship with Nesta and Nesta, like, actually being nice to people, really, was a lot of fun. It was just, I really enjoyed it. They had... And then they got abducted, and I was like, please tell me no one is going to get raped. I would be so sad.
That's... boys write that. Women don't write that.
Well, I mean, Sarah J. Maas technically did. She just didn't do it on screen. On page, I guess. But, yeah.
Yeah, how did you feel about the blood right?
I liked it. I wrote in my notes, I should have known this was what was going to happen, because she talked about the blood right earlier in the book.
Yeah, I don't
like,
know how I didn't guess that either, that they were going to be, like, put into it, but it makes so much sense, and it's such a beautiful ending to their training and their journey.
Exactly. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I think that I know that they talked about it. The reasons for Cassian not going in and saving them are flimsy, but I don't really care because I was just like, yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, we need our girls to fight.
Sure, yeah, they're gonna fight. Because it was interesting before that they were like, well, we're the Valkyries, but are we ever actually going to do anything?
And they're like,
with
here
this?
you go, baby.
Here we are. Which is great. And I really liked the blood right. I thought it was really well done. I'm interested to see if whatever that guy's name was, Balthazar, comes back. The guy that she met in the very beginning who did not kill her.
Oh, yeah.
I assumed he would play some role later in the blood right, and he did not. So maybe he'll come back, maybe he won't, who knows. But I'm also really excited for Emery and Moore, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good... They get a little...
Well, they literally just like... It was just like, clearly Emery thinks Moore is hot.
Like,
and I was just like, I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
on
go.
It. Give
let's
it to
go,
me.
baby. Moore needs hers.
Yeah,
she really
that's
does.
it. Moore's barely in this book, which is such a shame.
Yeah, I love that girl.
But everyone else... I'm trying to think if there's anything else that happens with the rest of the regular crew that particularly stood out. Oh, Amryn and Nesta's... I liked that Amryn was a dick to her the whole book. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
And...
Well, because I think it's interesting to kind of see, like, two sides of the same coin, where it's her, she kind of attaches to Nesta because she understands her darkness. Yeah. And then in this one, she also is like, okay, well, you can't sit and wallow and be a jerk to everyone, even though you feel all of this. Like, you still have to figure out a way to move in through your life. You can be a black cat, but, like, if you want to be a black cat with friends, you've got to get your crap together.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's, yeah. Amryn also does have, like, the quote that is the book. And I was just like, oh, yeah, we're done now. We can finish. Let's see. Yes. That's the key, isn't it? To know the darkness will always remain, but how you choose to face it, handle it, that's the important part. To not let it consume, to focus upon the good, the things that fill you with wonder. The struggle with darkness is worth it just to see such things. And I was like, great, we're done now. We can finish the book. That was about 2/3 of the way through. I was like, I get it. But a beautiful quote. But,
yeah, a great quote. And
beautiful
very
quote.
Realistic.
But none of the... Nesta is the book. And the way that she goes through her journey, if you don't like it, you're not going to have a good time. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was quite good. I thought other parts of the book were very weak, but for the most part, I liked the main part of the book. So it was a good time for me.
Yeah, good. I think it's a great book.
Yeah. I will say one other thing that I did enjoy is I liked the house a lot. the fact that she made the house, and also the fact that the house was into smut is very funny to me. Yeah, I just really, because it helps with like the cozy vibes.
It does. Yeah,
It's
the
really
fact that
good.
the house is like, here's
And
some
I
chocolate
did like
cake.
the bit where they have the sleepover and Emery and Gwyn are immediately like, I mean, you are wasting
Yeah,
this.
let's ask
Like,
you for
what are
some
we
cool
doing?
stuff.
Like, I loved that part. And I also appreciated, even though some of it felt kind of needless, the, lore built into here. She did seem to be laying some groundwork for stuff that's going to possibly be relevant later. They talked about the first gods, capital F, capital G, that I think are also called the Dagon? I don't know. That's another thing that came up later that was like the beings that ruled before the Fae, and the first gods are primordial beings. Not sure if they're the same thing, but those things were both mentioned. And I always like hearing about like the pantheon and what came before, and it's also always nice when Sarah J Maas talks about something that's not then immediately one of the main plot points in the book, even though you heard about it for the first time in chapter 2. So that was nice. And I mean, again, the only like, yeah, I didn't need Brylin. It's good that we got a setup of Koshai, who knows, the guy who's gonna, I'm sure, be the big bad of this particular arc. So my guess is that Nesta's going to get her own trilogy, and then maybe Elaine will get one, and that'll be 9 books. That's my random guess based on nothing. But I'm assuming
there is a number that she's signed on to do. I don't remember what it is.
Well, Kosha is going to be the bad guy for the next arc, and then I think Vasa will probably become much more relevant as well, since she is enthralled to him, or in some such way. But ensorcelled.
Yeah. Oh, I like that one.
Ensorcelled.
Ensorcelled.
But yes, that is. Oh, and you know what? We didn't really talk at all about Nesta's actual power, because to be frank, I didn't really care, and also it's gone at the end of the book. Spoiler. But some of the scenes were really cool. The fact that she still had it, that she managed to like start getting some sense of control over it, and her use of the Dread Trove was very interesting. I assume it's either going to come in handy again later, or we're never ever going to hear about it. But
I'll have to wait.
I am interested to see what happens to the weapons that she made. That was kind of a cool little addition I was not expecting. I'm sure.
Very Celebrimbor of her.
Yes, very, very Celebrimbor of her. But
accidental empowered weapons.
Yeah, no, right? But yeah, those are really all my thoughts. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, I like this book.
Okay, it's a good one. So what do you think we should rate this out of?
Well, I mean, you got so many options.
We do have a lot of options.
It could be a ribbon. It could be a mountain. It could be a mask.
I was going to say the mask, just because that's kind of the cover
mask
as well.
Is good.
Yeah,
sure.
Okay, we'll go with the mask.
Could be silver flames.
Could be silver flames. That would be kind of hard. Okay, I think I'm going to go with the mask. I would give this a 4 out of 5 masks. I had a good time reading this. I really did. I don't know if it's my favorite. I don't think it is. I think the second one is probably still my favorite.
That's my favorite.
Well, no, wait. No, I said Wings and Ruin was my favorite. I don't know. It's so hard because there are parts of all of these books, except for the first one, that I really like. And then there are other parts of these books in the same book that I'm like, this is kind of a mess.
That's why rating is hard.
Rating is very hard. Yeah, I find these to be uniquely difficult for me, though, because usually I can be like, I feel confident about this. And I'm like, I would give, and with these books, I have to be like, I would give this part like a 4 or a 5, and I would give this part like a 2.
Never, no.
And it's kind of hard to find that middle ground, specifically with these. I don't know why. It's just every one of these that I read, I latch on to one aspect of the book, and then the other parts I feel like are either because I'm so invested in one part, or just because I actually do think that they're like fully lacking. Like in this book, the plots that don't have to do directly with Nesta, I'm like,
meh.
Didn't need them.
Yeah.
This is Nesta's book, and I think that the story speaks for itself. I understand the necessity for some of the things that were done. I don't understand the necessity for other ones. But that's a 4 out of 5 for me. What would you give this?
5.
5 out of 5.
5.
Wow.
I love this book. I also think, like, especially as I go through Sarah J Maas books, it's hard for me to be unbiased, because I'm just so thrilled to be reading one of these books with these characters that I love so much. So I don't know, like, if I would give one less than a 5, because I'm just like having a great time.
Yeah. I was expecting to give this like a 3 or a 3.5, but I read it in like 3 days.
You did, yeah.
I was really into it.
I'm glad you liked it.
I liked it a lot. I mean, Nesta's journey, I like character-focused stories, and as like if they're very engaging, and I found this just to be really engaging. Nesta's journey was powerful, I thought. Seeing someone go through and begin to move past something, either a mental block or trauma or whatever it is beautiful. And yeah, I thought it was written in a very compelling way and did very much enjoy it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what I thought. Seriously, if you have reasons that you really dislike this, put them down below. I'm not interested in hearing people like slander Sarah J. Maas or just be a dick. But if you have like legitimate reasons, I'd love to just hear them, because I have reasons I think that people hate this book, but I'd like to know why people really actually don't like it, just for my own curiosity's sake. But otherwise, that's really all our thoughts. So please like, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and
we'll see you on our next adventure.